What if you want to control more devices than ProPresenter can natively control? Is there a way to do that? Well, yeah. In fact, you can do all kinds of automation with just a macro or just an action in ProPresenter once you have it set up. But how do you do that? That's the question. Well, stick around and I'll show you how. Presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter Show. On today's show, how to control other devices using Companion from ProPresenter. Hi and welcome again to the ProPresenter Show. This is the show where I teach all about ProPresenter. My name's Paul Allen Clifford. And before we get started, if you know that there's some other devices you'd like to control, but ProPresenter doesn't seem to have a way to natively do it, tell me about it in the comments below. So this is kind of the second part of a tutorial I made a while back. You'll notice here that it says both Mac and Windows. I did one earlier showing how to do it on Mac, and that's basically using Rosstalk. But this process will work on both Mac and Windows, but it's a little more limited. So if you run into those limitations and you're on a Mac, then use Rosstalk. I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute. But if not, or if you're on Windows, then this is probably the way that you want to do it. So let's head over to the computer and we'll take a look here. So we're in ProPresenter. I do have ProPresenter for for Windows over here if I wanted to show you that. But basically on the Windows side, you will need RTP MIDI here, and you'll need to set that up so that it's set to control the send MIDI to the computer that has Companion on it. So what is Companion? Well, let's talk about that real quick. Sorry, hit the wrong button. So if I go here and do a search for Companion, might actually have to find where I have that menu set up. Here, let's do this. This will work. So I'm going to drag this over because it's actually inside a web browser. So to get this software that I'm talking about, you go to bitfocus.io, and then you will need to sign up for an account. It's a free account, but sign up for an account. Then you'll need to sign in once you've got all that in there. I'm going to go ahead and get this all sorted out and log in here. Once you do that, you will need to select Companion here, and you'll need to download the latest version and install it. Well, I've already got that installed on my machine, so let me just do this. So this is the web address. It's basically, since it's on the same machine, you can just use the same machine IP address here of 127.0.0.1:8000. Okay? Now, once you do that, you will want to install this connection, the ProPresenter API. There's another one listed in there that does not say API. That's the old one. You don't want that one unless you're on a much older version of ProPresenter. So probably something before ProPresenter 20. So I think 19 and older it works on. 20 and newer, you need this one. And there was some overlap where this one would work on older ones as well, but the older one no longer works on 20 or 21, one of those two, and newer. So anyway, we want this, so let's set this up, and notice you'll need to select the module version. As of right now, 1.0.5 is the latest stable version, so that's the one that I'm using. It's asking, okay, where is ProPresenter located? So it's actually on the same machine, so there's that. And then I'll need this network port. So let's go back to ProPresenter here, and we can find that under ProPresenter settings, and this is on both Windows and Mac. So under network, notice 49620, and I go back to companion 49620. So that's what we want there. Now I scroll down a little further, make sure you turn on MIDI button pushing. That's where this happens. And then you'll also need to select the appropriate port here. And this is whether you're using audio MIDI setup on Mac or RTP MIDI on Windows. That's the one that you want to get. So let's say it was this one here. Then you'll need the companion port number. Dan Owen, who programmed this module, I watched his video, and he's an online friend of mine. I'd love to meet him in person, but he lives in Australia and I live in Kentucky, so it's a bit of a trek. I mean, I'd love to hop in my car and just drive right over, but, you know, since it's halfway around the world, that's not going to happen. Maybe someday, but as of right now, not so much. Anyway, he said that he would love to auto-populate this, but there's no way to do it. So if you don't see this number, go up here and look at the number after the colon right here. See how it's colon 8000? That 8000 is what you put right here. So that's pretty simple there. Just find out whatever it is up here and put it right here. Okay? Then that's good to go. And let's hide myself here. The rest of this you don't need to know. But if you go up here and click on this question mark, this is actually going to tell you something about it. We can scroll all past this. Feel free to read all this if you want to control ProPresenter from this module. But to control Companion, notice you need to send a note on message, and the MIDI channel is the button page number, the numerical value of the note is the row of the button, and the intensity is the column of the button. Where we run into problems is MIDI note channel, or MIDI channel here. There's only 16 of those, but you can have 99 pages of stuff in Companion. So if you're using page 17 or later, then you might need to figure out another way to do this. Maybe move the page earlier, whatever. But just so you know, pages 1 through 16 would be the MIDI channel. The numerical value of the button is row, or of the note is the row, and the intensity number is the column. And Dan did say he might change that sometime, so do double check this before you get going. So what does that mean to you? Well, let's click on this button thing here, and notice this looks a whole lot like a Stream Deck. And there's a very good reason that it looks like a Stream Deck, because Companion is software that controls a Stream Deck. Here's the Stream Deck XL layout, just so that you should know that. And let's say that I wanted to control let's go over here and say that I wanted to hit this button right here. Notice when I mouse over it, it says 313. That is page 3, row 1, column 3. Now it's important for you to know something about that. Notice it says row 1, but you're looking and going, wait. That looks like the second row. That's because it starts counting from 0. So this is row 0 actually. Well, what about column? Column 1? Nope. Column 0. So this button, when you mouse over it, is page 300, page 310, page 301. So it's important just that you know what that is. Notice when I mouse over it, it tells me. So I can go right here and I can select 313. Okay, now let's go back to ProPresenter. So I also will have to make sure that I've got my MIDI device connected here. So whatever the MIDI device was that you set up earlier in Companion, connected here. So basically, you just click on the little plus button down here, select MIDI. If you're on a Mac, if you're on Windows, MIDI is your only choice. And then you give the device a name. By default, it's MIDI. Turn on auto reconnect, core device, etc. And then you'll need to select the devices that you're going to use here. If you're doing it on the same computer, RTP MIDI would send it over the network on the Windows side. Audio MIDI setup as a network would send that over the network on the Mac side. But on the Mac side, you can use IAC Driver. So let's bring that back up here. So you can use the IAC Driver here. So let me just click this little drop down and select the IAC Driver. And you double click on that, and you need to make sure that it's set to MIDI in and out, devices online, has a name here, etc. So if it's on the same computer, you use that. If you're on Windows, there's one, again, from Tobias Erickson. Instead of RTP MIDI, you're going to need the Loop MIDI piece of software. Both free, both easy to download, no big deal. So just keep that in mind. If they're on different computers, you'll need to do it over the network. If they're on the same computer, you'll need to loop it between software on the same computer. On the Mac, it's IAC Driver. On Windows, it is Loop MIDI. Either way. So once you've done that, here, let me hide myself here. And then you need to create the macro to do it. Notice I have created one here, 437. So what that will do is I can click on it, and it didn't do anything right now. I'm going to show you what this looks like, but that's because I've been messing with the MIDI and I actually need to restart ProPresenter and stuff. So, but basically you right click on it, go down to Add Actions, and then Communication. Then you select your MIDI driver, your device, which stands in the gap in between the two pieces of software here, and you select MIDI Note On. Now, remember how I said this is 437? Well, that is channel 4, note 3, intensity 7. Or, if we go back to Companion here, remember I said this was the one that I wanted to do, which is 313. Okay, so let's go back to ProPresenter, and instead of 437, we're going to do channel 3. And notice there's only 16 of these. So channel 3 is page 3. Note 1 is column 1. Row 1. And then intensity 3 is column 3. So we've got plenty of intensity here for our, all the columns. We've got plenty of notes for all the rows. The limitation here is on the channel, and like I said, Dan said he might switch that up sometime. Don't know. But that's how you can do that. And if I do that, then when I click on it, it'll change. So just to show you, create a macro, right click, add action, go down to communication, select the MIDI driver that you have, select MIDI note on, and then select the channel for the page, select the note for the row, and then the intensity for the column. So I like to, when I'm doing that, I like to, if it was just one, I would right click here, rename it, and just call it 313, just so that it's obvious. And that's how you do that. So this might feel to you like it's drinking from a fire hose, a lot of details. I didn't have everything actually controlling it. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to make a little cheat sheet, a quick start guide, if you will, to do this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. All you have to do is head on over to tdm.fyi/pro-gifts, and that's spelled GIFTS. And then you can go ahead and put the information in once you select the controlling companion with MIDI guide or cheat sheet, whatever I call it. Haven't made it quite yet. And then I will just email that directly to you once you give me your name and email address to send it to. Okay. Hope that's helpful. That's just an overview. You'll get more in the guide. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.